I want to tell you about a kind of a strange answer to prayer that I just experienced here Friday and Saturday. Today's Monday, July the 5th. It's getting to be about supper time, and I was getting ready to pray for the meal, and as I was praying, it just kind of popped into my head that I should pray that if it's the Lord's will, that maybe He would add somebody to our ministry, our house church that we have, so that we could increase more tracting and get more ministry things done. So I prayed and I just said, you know, Lord, in your timing and in your will, bring somebody along if that's what you want. Well, it went about 10-15 minutes, and I get a call from the pastor of our house church, and he said to me, I was down here at this local farm market that we have here in our area, and he was going around in one of the stands there. He found a tract, a gospel tract from James Melton, and it was about the apostolic sign gifts and the charismatics, how they counterfeit it and all that. And he found this tract, and it had on the back, he flipped over on the back to see who it was from, and it had Bible Believers Fellowship on it. And it's from this area where we're at. They had the area where this Bible Believers Fellowship is. Now, we don't put those tracts out, not because we're against it. It's just not part of what we normally put out. And so this is kind of weird, because this is the name of our house church, Bible Believers Fellowship. And so we thought, are there two of us, two Bible Believers Fellowships out there? So there was a phone number, so my pastor, he gave him a call, and turned out it's an older man, and he does a lot of tracting and things, and he has a little house church of his own. And it's so weird how that here you have this guy, Bible Believers Fellowship, and we're Bible Believers Fellowship, and we've never met before. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But it gets even more interesting. He asked this guy if we could come and talk to him. And he said yes. The next day, Saturday morning, he said, you can come talk to me. I have some things to do, but sure, I'd be glad to talk to you. So my pastor said, would you be willing to go out sometime in the morning? Sure, no problem. So we get there about 9 o'clock in the morning, and get to talking to this brother, and definitely saved. I mean, very good man. Actually a graduate of Pensacola Bible Institute. He was a missionary in Germany for a while. I mean, just a good guy. Definitely believes the way we believe. And but the funny thing was that he got to telling us. We asked him, how did you get to the point of being in a house church? And he explained how that he, much like us, we had gone to all the churches in the area and tried to make it work, and you try to get to know the pastor, and the pastor, you find out, is not really a Bible believer. They're preaching what they don't believe, and and they're not willing to change, so you go to another church, and it's just a lot of you people down south don't understand what we have to deal with up north here, and that is the majority of the churches are corrupt. Okay, you still have some decent churches down south there, but man, up north here, forget it. There are some, but very few and far between. So this guy was talking about that, and he said, it was interesting because I get the Bible Believers Bulletin from Bible Baptist Bookstore. Dr. Ruckman's one of the ministries down there. And he said, I get this bulletin. And he explained to us how that a few years ago that there was a letter in there of some guy from our area here who was going through the same thing, and in fact had been to many of these same churches that this brother had been going to, and he called down to Bible Baptist Bookstore, and he asked for this guy's name and phone number, contact information, and Bible Baptist Bookstore said, well, it was a personal letter to Dr. Ruckman, and we don't want to give the guy's name out. So since then, this brother, his name's Richard, he was praying that someday he could meet this, whoever this was that wrote this letter. Well, it just so happens right here is the copy with the letter in it, and I was the one that wrote the letter. August of 2007, my letter to Dr. Ruckman was published in the Bible Believers Bulletin. And here this brother had been praying for 3 years that somehow, some way, he could team up with these other Bible believers. Just amazing how, and I've been praying, it wasn't just, at supper time on Friday night, but I've been praying too for years, we all have, that God would bring in faithful members. We've had different people come and go and things, and so this guy here, he wants to be part of our house church, and I think he'll be a very valuable asset to the ministry. But just neat how that God was working things out, and if God would have answered his prayer back in 2007, August of 2007, and he would have gotten in contact with me, there's not much we could have done to help him. But God waited to answer his prayer up until the point that now we have a house church, and now God has him ready to be in a house church. And then he said, okay, now I'm going to answer your prayer. 3 years that man was praying to meet the guy that wrote the letter. I'm not special or anything. That's not the issue. It's just he wanted to meet another Bible believer. And after 3 years, God brought us together. Just an amazing thing. And I just want to say in closing, you're not always going to have an answer to your prayer right away. If you're a Christian, you might have been praying for something for years and years and years. But if it's according to God's will, God will answer that prayer. Okay? It might take him a couple years to do it, but it's because he is working other things out, just as he did with this situation here. So, hope you don't ever give up faith in praying for something. Don't ever quit praying. If it's something that you believe is God's will for your life, just keep on praying, and God will answer that prayer eventually.